This video is brought to you by Bitbox NES Game Cases. There's no better way to protect, store, and show off your NES game collection. Only available at stoneagegamer.com/bitbox. What's going on, guys? This is John with Gamester81.com. This is part 2 over my review over the Ouya console. First part I actually talked about in part 1. I'll put a link here. I talked about the overview of the console itself as well as an unboxing. This part I'm going to show some gameplay, show you the dashboard, explain to you how the emulators, and demonstrate how the emulators actually run on the Ouya, as well as in conclusion share with you my final thoughts. Now without any further ado, let's check out some gameplay and boot this thing up. So here is kind of the Ouya, the main screen when you load it up. When you first turn it on the first time, it's going to ask for you to your register name, username, password, as well as ask for a credit card. It needs a credit card on file in order to purchase games, in case you want to purchase any. I'm not sure if you're able to skip that or not. This is another manage area. You can set up your controller, sync up to 4 different remotes. You have notifications, your network, system. This is more information about the system itself, the console, data storage. Make sure Bluetooth is on, security, language settings, all that good stuff here. You can go back, and there's the play. That's kind of where all your games you download are. Let's go to discover. This is where you find all the games, the programs. So sometimes it takes a little bit to load. That's not too bad. You have featured at the very top. You see Sonic CDs. They could just put that out. Ballistic. These are just some games that are popular now, trending now. You also have Sonic, Speed, and Racing, which I kind of find unusual genre. It's kind of a weird category to do racing. You can load up any one. It shows you screenshots of a particular program. It shows you likes. People can leave comments, stuff like that. Play like WOB. I'm not sure what that's all about. Genres. You got retro. This is where you would find all your emulators. The NES, Super Nintendo, Neo Geo, PC Engine. You can also search by pushing the Y button, just so you know you can search for a particular program. And once you have downloaded your program, you can go to play. This is where they would be stored. You can see these are the ones I've actually downloaded up to this point. They don't take up too much memory. It's not really that bad memory. This is one game. I'm going to show you just an example of a game for the Ouya. This is Ballistic SE Special Edition. This game reminds me of kind of asteroids on steroids. It would be the best way to describe the gameplay. You basically play with 2 analog sticks. And that's it. You use your left one to move around, your right one to fire. Pretty fun game. Love the music in this. Love the techno type music. Love the graphics. It's got a very cool high energy feel to it. Kind of a retro game meets modern feel. I think it's a very cool game. This is just the demo, of course. Didn't cost me anything to download. And this is just an example of when you can download games for free on the Ouya. Just as an example. Pretty tough game though. Let's go back, see what else I got. I have another game I want to show you. This is a racing game. I'm going to show you it reminds me of like F-Zero. A little bit like F-Zero anyway. Unusual controls in this game though, because you don't have an action button to go. You automatically just go. So you basically just have to worry about steering and any weapons you use. But again, not too bad. You can see graphics are decent. Games that you'd see on your phone, your mobile device, possibly on your Android, because this, like I said, is ran off the Android system. So, but it's got a lot different feel playing on an actual controller than it would be your touch screen, so to speak. Another game I want to show you for the Ouya. It's called Shadow Gun. This is basically a Gears of War ripoff. More or less. Actually, it's gotten some awards. It's actually not too bad of a game, but if you like to play games like Gears of War, this is a Gears of War ripoff. You'll see what I mean here in a second when this loads up. Loading time's not too bad, but considering it's in your storage, it should be a little bit faster, I think. Anyway. But game's loaded here. You see the graphical style. It just looks a lot like yours. It's a third-person, over-the-top action shooter.
Sarah, was that sarcasm?
I've heard it takes about 4 to 5 hours to complete. It's kind of a short game. Now the game I want to show you is called Retro Racing. This is an example just of a retro style game that's for the Ouya. This reminds me a lot of like a classic NES game like RC Pro-Am, or even Super Off-Road to an extent. I'm the red driver in case you're curious. Controls are a little sensitive in this game, I find. Turning corners, etc. is kind of tricky, but you get different boosts and stuff like that. You get different things you can pick up, weapons, turbo boost, all that good stuff. Let's see what else game I want to show you. Here's an interesting game. This is Chrono Blade. This is an exclusive only on the Ouya. This is kind of reminds me, I guess the best way to explain it would be like a God of War type of game with RPG elements. I haven't played it too much, but from what I've played of it, I actually really enjoy. I'm enjoying the gameplay. You'll see here in a second what I mean. So once I get all these treasure chests at the very beginning of the first stage here, I should get everything here. You basically can go down and the enemies will appear. And you get some really cool weapons, and you get some power-ups and upgrades and that, and you get points for every enemy you kill. But it does have like a God of War feel to it as far as gameplay elements go, I think anyway. Not a bad game to check out, and you know what? It's free to play. I mean, free for me to download and play this for quite a while on the free mode anyway. Cool weapon there. Back to the main menu here. Let's go check out some emulators now. I'm sure you guys are curious. This is the NES emulator, the Nintendo Entertainment System one. They've got some homebrews here you can check out. Battle Kid is one that came out a little while ago, a couple years ago. You can demo it. It's kind of like a Mega Man clone, but it's super challenging. The point is to get past each stage, but it's a pattern for every stage, and it takes a while to figure out the pattern. You got objects that drop on you, enemies that approach you, and it's very, very challenging. But love the music. Very, very cool retro feel to it. Go ahead and leave this, so you guys have kind of an idea of how it plays anyway. And you can save the slate, and you push up. You have to push up again to move through these different tabs. Kind of unusual. This is Super Mario Bros. 3, one of my favorite games for the NES. You can see how it plays. It's maybe a little, colors maybe a little off on the NES, but really it's not too bad of a emulator. There is another NES emulator that's available to download in case you don't like this particular one. I love this game. I remember watching The Wizard back in the day. Great movie when it comes to Nintendo. Nostalgia anyway. But you guys can get the idea. It plays pretty good, and the controls are not bad. Go back to play. Check out another emulator. Show you the Game Boy Color emulator. This will play Game Boy Color and Game Boy original Game Boy games. Go to load game. I got these games. I downloaded these all from the cloud, meaning I went onto the website through the browser, went onto a website, and I'll show you later here in the video how to do that. In case you guys are wondering, problem with doing that is they don't get into a certain file. They're all kind of in the download area, so you have to kind of know what games for each system more or less. There's ways to mini USB. You can create files that way and do that. It's much more organized, but a little bit more pain in the butt. And the Ouya does not come with a mini USB cable, so you have to purchase that separately. This is a great game for the Game Boy, by the way. Link's Awakening is great. This was supposed to be actually a Link to the Past port, but they've in development decided to make a completely different game. Before I continue with the other emulators, I want to show you Sonic CD. This actually just recently came out for the Ouya. This is obviously came out by Sega. They're putting out some games for it. This is one of the major publishers supporting the Ouya. You know, the intro song right away is different. I remember playing the Sonic CD for the Sega CD back in the day. I love the intro theme, so right away the music's different. I don't remember this little cartoon scene either. But a little fun fact, this reminds me of the Sonic cartoon show back in the mid-90s, early to mid-90s. And actually, do you guys know who the voice of Sonic was? I won't tell you. I'll leave a comment below. Let me know. He's actually, here's a hint, he started in a very popular sitcom in the 90s also. I think TGI Friday. Okay, But kind of a fun fact there. This is a great Sonic game. One of my favorite Sonic games, actually, or ever. Honestly, the music's great. Although they've changed the music in this port, unfortunately. But the gameplay is great, and it's just a really retro, cool feel to Sonic. Show you some other emulators here. Let's check out the Mega Drive. This would be the Genesis one as well. And what's cool is if you're playing a game, it will continue the game from the same slot you actually left the game on. This is Aladdin for the Genesis, and this is one of my favorite games on the console. There's a port also by Capcom that came out for the Super Nintendo. This one is by far superior. The graphics just are a lot better. Gameplay's better. Just look at the animation. It looks like actually you're watching the movie. As far as they got a lot of the artists that worked on the movie to work on this game. They worked very closely with Disney. Love the music. This is actually by Virgin, I believe. Actually helped produce this game and develop it. So Virgin Software. This game, one of my favorite stages in this game is the Genie Lamp stage. It's later in the game. It's one of my favorite stages of all time. Here is Super Nintendo. There's two of them available. This is probably the best one. It shows you the cover art for each game too, which is cool. It downloads the cover art, shows you gameplay and what controls you use. So right away, 2 pluses. This is Yoshi's Island. This is Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island. This has got the FX2 chip. I just wanted to see if this works, and no issues, no lag or anything like that. This is a great platforming game. Definitely check this one out, but very, very unique gameplay style for this, for sure. I love the animation style. And I heard aren't they making a new one? I think they're making a follow-up to this soon, if I recall, which will be cool. I know this is ported to the DS, I believe, or Game Boy Advance, but super, super fun game to check out. This is a really interesting emulator. This is Nintendo DS emulator. I never played a DS emulator before, and this is interesting. So you'll see here there's actually 2 screens when it loads up. I have 2 ROMs for it. I have New Super Mario Brothers and Pokemon. The left screen will be the top screen of DS. The right is the touchscreen version. The bottom one, what's cool is you can use your touchpad on your controller and use that as you would like on a normal DS. So it interacts with that. It's pretty cool. You have a little cursor. I think that's pretty cool. Unfortunately, the game lags a lot. Both games, unfortunately, lag. Music's off a little bit as well. It's not necessarily unplayable due to lag, but it's certainly noticeable. And to the sense that if you're used to playing on the DS version, you'll definitely notice it. So maybe they'll come with a firmware update for it, and where it will actually play better. But the sound effects aren't too bad. But it's certainly it's a delayed. When you push a button, it's very delayed. It makes it somewhat of a challenge. The next emulator I'm going to show you is this is a Nintendo 64 emulator, and this is Super Smash Brothers, obviously. But I feel the graphics are a little bit off. It doesn't lag or anything like that, but the controls are weird. Like you push the O button, and this weird menu pops up, and it just it's weird getting used to. So let me show you a little bit more of a game. I've tested other games for it. Conker's Bad Fur Day. That didn't actually run. I tested Shadow of the Empire. That didn't run it as well. So it's kind of hit and miss as far as what ROMs will run on this. But let me show you one that runs pretty well. And so I think it's one you'll recognize, and it's Super Mario 64. This actually had no lag at all, and actually ran flawlessly from when I played it. So classic game. I have a lot of memories of playing this when I first got the N64. Playing it all-nighter and going through it. It's really a must-have for the system. Love the water levels in this game. It was brilliant, just swimming around. The next emulator I want to show you is a PlayStation 1. Couldn't figure this out, unfortunately. I think I could figure it out if I had a mini USB cord. Don't have it handy. You basically have to go and hook it up to your computer and create files, dump those files into a specific file on the Ouya in order to run it. Unfortunately, if you download games through the cloud, it will not read it. And the Ouya does not read USB flash drives, unfortunately. So that's a huge thing. Hopefully they'll fix that with an update. I want to show you how to download games through the internet, as I mentioned before. You go to Manager. There's actually a web browser through the Make software, and you just click on it, and you go to a site called coolrom.com. Because this is an Android device, it's going to go automatically to the mobile friendly site, which actually is a lot easier to navigate anyway. Always encourage you guys to only download ROMs that you actually own the games for. Okay, guys, I'm going to throw it out there. And show support for the site, too. If you're here, donate a few bucks to them because they have some great games. You can see all the different items they have. This is Nintendo games. Let's do Contra. All right. And you can see how fast it downloads. You go down here. You can download it. Boom. Hit the menus button on the controller. Go back. Go to play. Let's go to the Nintendo Emulator program. We'll hit up a couple times to go to all games, and right there, Contra's loaded already. Hit play, and there you go. You got Contra, a must-have and a classic for the Nintendo. So you can do this with any console other than the PlayStation 1, from what I've seen. And you can see how it works and plays pretty well. Okay, so is this the Ouya? Or is this the Uno? We'll start with the positives. I'll start with the positives about the Ouya and what I like about the console, because I don't want to be too negative on it. I like the compact size. I like the design. It's certainly a console you can bring with you, pack in a bag, take it to go if you're going to a buddy's place. It's got HDMI, which I think is great. I love the open source aspect of things. So you can, if you're keen enough to build your own and program your own games for it, you can do that, which is really cool. The emulation on the Ouya overall, I'd probably give it a B. It's decent. You know, emulations for the DS, for example, you saw that it ran slow. I've heard and I've seen emulation on the PS1 for it, and it runs pretty well. I wasn't able to get my PS1 emulator to work and run the ROMs. Only the fact that pretty much laziness on my end. I don't have a micro USB cord handy. It's not packed in with the Ouya, which it should be. And that's really the only way to load the PS1 ROMs onto the Ouya. And it doesn't take USB flash card. If you have a USB flash drive, it doesn't take that. It doesn't recognize that, which is an issue. And for some reason, when I downloaded it through the internet, through the cloud, it wasn't recognizing that ROM either. So that's kind of an issue for me. But back to more positives. The games, from what I've seen, there's a variety. You got a lot of cool retro-looking games, which is cool. And you got some really decent-looking games that actually run pretty well. Are there a lot of shovelware games for it? Yes. But the games, for the most part, are free to play. And the games that you want to purchase, you can purchase for not too expensive. And so you're not really forced to purchase the game, so to speak. If you can demo it, if you don't like it, no one's requiring you to buy the game. If you do like it, then certainly you can do that. So those are some really positive things about the Ouya. I think the upside of the Ouya is tremendous. I think there's a lot of potential with the system. It's still fairly new. I think it's certainly obviously a community-oriented console. I think overall it will do fairly well. And you know, $99 for it, honestly, I think is priced right. I don't look back on paying $100 for it and saying, wow, I got gypped. There's certainly worse things I could have bought for $100, right? So those are the positives about the Ouya. Now, as far as negatives go, one big glaring thing is the controller. There's no start button on the controller. That's ludicrous to me. Building a controller and developing a controller without a start button is like building a car without a brake pedal. I mean, in the sense that you have the braking mechanisms in the vehicle, but you don't know where it is to actually brake the car. Can you imagine that? And that's kind of how I felt using this controller. That's a huge issue for me. Some games, and mostly with emulators, the pause button was different. Sometimes it was clicking on the right analog stick. Sometimes it was pushing an action button. There was no standard in that regard. So the cool thing is you can hook up your PS3 controller fairly easy just by clicking a USB to hook it up to a USB, and it will sync it up very easy. I was not able to hook up my 360, my Xbox 360 controller, only because I don't have a wired with a USB Xbox 360 controller. But I've heard those actually work fairly well. So that's a cool thing that they were able to do that. But still, the packing controller should be somewhat decent with a start button. Come on, and the shoulder buttons are kind of weird too. But I do like the touchscreen or the touch portion of it. I think that actually works pretty well, especially navigating the internet. That works actually pretty well. Another thing I don't like about the Ouya is that you can't see what games are in queue as far as downloading. And this became a huge issue for me. So what I mean by this is if you're downloading a whole bunch of different games or programs, when you download an initial program or game, it actually has a bar and it shows you kind of the bar and shows you how far long it is to download. If I want to download a second one, it says in queue, okay? But I can't, and then if I wanted a third, fourth, etc., I can't see what's in line in the queue. So what ended up happening is I actually had actually erasing everything in my Ouya and starting fresh, because I would wait literally hours and everything would be stuck in queue, and I didn't know what game or program was delaying that queue, if that makes sense. So what I did to resolve this after I learned the third time, and it was really frustrating because I downloaded all these things and I had to go back and erase the memory and start fresh twice. Eventually, what I decided was the easiest thing to do was not queue anything up. So I would download something and just wait it out. And I have a pretty strong connection, and things still took a long time to download for some reason or another. So that's a huge issue for me. I would like the ability to go in my queue, and if something's delaying my queue, I can actually delete that item. I can see what's going on. I think that's a huge issue. I'm not a huge fan of the layout, the dashboard for the Ouya either. I think it's kind of hard to navigate games. I think they could do a better job as far as organizing different genres and seeing kind of what games are new, et cetera, and so forth. I'm not a huge fan of the layout. I think they should take a chapter from maybe the Xbox 360 dashboard, so to speak, where you can see what's going on fairly easy. You can see what's new. But really, that's pretty much it. So overall, is the Ouya worth picking up? Well, I would probably say it's a ooh okay. It's not a ooh yeah, it's not a ooh no, it's a ooh okay. So if you're looking for a decent emulating machine, a console that emulates fairly easy, and you don't necessarily want to mod an old console, but you want to play emulators, this is probably a console to check out. I'd probably give it, if I were to give it a grade, probably like a B minus, maybe B minus overall. I think there's certainly room for improvement, but I've heard a lot of hate about it, and I think a lot of it's unjustified, to be honest with you, unwarranted. But that's my personal opinion, guys. Please post your comments below. Let me know what you guys think about the Ouya. If you own one, let me know what you guys think about the Ouya. Do you guys agree with what I have said about the Ouya and some of the complaints and praises I have for it? Guys, you can always follow me also on Twitter, Facebook. I just recently joined Instagram. I'll put links below, as well as my website, Gamester81.com. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate you guys liking this video. As always, we'll see you guys soon. Happy gaming. Take care.